Gandalf rode forward to meet them. "Well, Treebeard and I have had some interesting discussions and made a few plans," he said. "And we have..."
Creeping me out.
Michelle's just
Look.
terrified. We're on this big bridge in Wrangell, St. Elias National Park, and you can't see anything but the abyss, and it creeps her out.
I hated that.
Oh,
So bad. Don't worry, it still looks like
you big baby. Last night we slept in a lovely queen.
What?
Tonight
Got a single.
Tonight is it's almost like a one-time or a single serving.
Well, basically, last night we slept in a B&B.
Yeah, I know.
Now we're sleeping inside.
Yeah, but we slept in what's called a queen bed. Well, your mom and I did. So, one of the most amazing things about these people in here is that they have managed to reduce their possessions down to the point where we can put everything in the trunk, and Paul can sleep there on the bench seat.
I'm crazy.
And Bex can sleep right there next to him. Then we have two bins. That's our pantry. And Peter sleeps. It's hard for me to show you him.
Heyo.
Let me see if I can show you him. Yeah, there he is. Oh, that's fun footage. Wait, there you are. Hi, Petey.
Hello.
So Peter is basically underneath Michelle, who of course, oh, she's up there now. But that's the passenger seat that lays down, and then of course I'm in the driver's seat. So this is called boondocking, where you basically sleep in your vehicle. There's a few different versions, but boondocking is where you sleep in your vehicle, and you're just in a place where you're legally allowed to park overnight. And this is not our favorite way to camp, but it has its. Well, let's be honest here. It's a compromise.
It's a free.
So the basically the benefits are you don't have to set up camp, and in the morning you don't have to break camp. So it can be a time saver. Mm-hmm. It can also be a money saver. Mm-hmm. It can also be a really nice choice in bad weather, and it can also be a nice choice when you have a lot of driving that you want to do, like when you're driving from Alaska back down to the lower 48. And you don't know how much stamina you'll have and what kind of progress you'll get, and you don't want your planned campground to be a constraint. So you basically just drive until you're really tired, then you find a place. So that's kind of the purpose of boondocking in our case and how we've been using it. And the kids' favorite part
Is being annoying.
is that in the morning sometimes we'll drive for a little bit while they're still laying down. And they think that's just so cool. Sometimes we're in a national park, sometimes we're not. Anyway, we normally keep the sunroof cracked. Otherwise, we get a lot of condensation. And
We get bugs in.
we don't normally get bugs in here, though there were a couple in here tonight. And other than that, it's a real rodeo. So, good job. Good job, guys. We're sleeping at the house tonight. We're sleeping in base camp tonight. Well, we're at the end of the road. There's some signs of mining towns down here. Look at this incredibly, I mean, that's like a 1/4 inch thick, maybe more. And it looks like this massive container or vessel like fell down a mountain or something. It's like a pop can that's been destroyed. Beautiful things down here. That's a glacier. It looks enormous, but if you look at the map, actually you're seeing like, I don't know, less than 1% of it. And we're headed over this bridge here to the little town of McCarthy. It's kind of weird down here. It doesn't really feel like a national park. It feels more like it also is a national preserve. So it feels not really developed, like it's ready to bring tourists, welcome tourists. It's quite a bit more wild, but that's true of all the national parks here in Alaska. Very, very pretty. Although being here in fall has been cold and rainy, the colors have also been spectacular. So we've really been enjoying all of the yellow, which It's quite a bit more beautiful in person than on the phone. Kids are still in chacos, even though it's, oh wow, yeah, that's true. When you look down, it just looks like you're about to fall through. Woo! Looks like the weather might shut us down again. That beautiful glacier is now covered up. Well, the rain's coming in all over the rocks, and it's a little bit too cold to be hanging out in the rain. It's like 45 degrees here, which is okay if you're hiking, but we don't want to get soaked. It's kind of been our experience in Alaska. A lot of bad weather. We missed the bugs. We're grateful for that. But actually, yeah, this place for some reason has a load of bugs. I don't know what they are. They're not mosquitoes, but they're really ambitious about getting right up in your face. That seems to be all of their life's aspirations. Look at that. The colors really are good. Really, really good colors. Look at that incredible color. This is probably the best view we've seen so far. Fortunately, the weather's coming in and starting to block some of the snow-tipped mountains. So it's about 40 degrees here, and it is lightly raining. It's hard to say exactly how much worse it'll get. So we're gonna abandon our hiking plans, unfortunately. And we're really only here for the day and then heading out. So Wrangell St. Elias will, for us, be a park that we mostly saw by vehicle, which is a bummer for sure. One thing I will say about these Alaskan parks, we've been to the three, Denali, Wrangell St. Elias, and Kenai Fjords. There's kind of this false romantic feeling of this land that's totally been undeveloped and, you know, hardly any roads and hardly any trails and just wild nature. It sounds really beautiful, you know, Jeremiah Johnson, in the wild type of picturesque. But the problem is that to come up to Alaska, most people are going to fly. They're not going to have that much equipment with them. And even if you drive, it's still a long way. And no one has a sled dog team in their pocket. And not everyone's up for, you know, a 10-day backpacking trip like I did with my dad in Denali many, many years ago. And so what that means is that the vast majority of this beautiful landscape goes unseen and unexplored by the general public, which is kind of a bummer because it's just way too, you know, just requires way too much effort and equipment to get out into the backcountry safely, especially with children. So then what's happened, of course, is that guiding companies have developed, you know, helicopter rides, plane rides, you know, all of these things to get you deep into the backcountry, which is cool. But now you've exchanged sort of this uber wild experience for actually a very commercialized one. And it ends up feeling, you know, like a more touristy experience than even a very developed park like Glacier or Yosemite. Of course, Glacier and Yosemite are super developed. I mean, you can get a coffee and a latte and a pizza in those places. And here, you know, you can't even get running water. But in order to access the wildness that's offered here, you have to do a uber touristy thing by, you know, boarding a helicopter or something like that, which really takes away from the wildness. And actually what I'm sensing and realizing is a little bit of development allows more people to access the backcountry, and it feels quite wild when you go to Glacier and you hike, you know, the 14-mile Highline Trail, or you go to Yosemite and you hike from Tuolumne Meadows down into the valley like we've done. And it's actually the really well thought out development of those parks that allows the average person to fly in on a plane and, you know, backpack or hike quite a bit deeper into the wilderness than they would otherwise without that development. So kind of an interesting balance, and we're kind of seeing the other side of the coin here in a pretty undeveloped place. So yeah, for what that's worth, maybe that helps you plan your trip a little bit more. And I'm not really trying to criticize it. I'm just trying to explain it and point out what's good and what's not so good about these parks. This park tends to feel like a bit of a national forest, where sort of speckled in and around the beauty is also also like cars and houses and little cabins, because intermixed in with the park is private land and little communities. And so if you're used to going like into a park like Sequoia or Yosemite or Glacier and then it just being just the park, this has a totally different feel. To me, it's a lot like what you find in national forest areas. This bridge allows one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. This is amazing. Of course, the camera doesn't capture the texture quite like the human eye or the color. I'll show you the other side. Look at that. Wow. It's kind of funny being in places off season. There's some swans out there fishing, but otherwise it's totally dead. I mean, like grills and coffee places and expeditions, we have this place to ourselves, and it's just weird. Feels like everyone knows something that we don't. Like, well, I don't know, maybe that the weather sucks or something, but I'm gonna go clean up our coffee maker with some fresh water, and we're gonna make some lunch. You think living on the road is awesome, off-grid, appeals to you? I think that idea is really over-romanticized. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're happy people, but like when you're in Alaska, 40 degrees, everything's post-season, it's raining, windy, and if you want to eat, you got to bust out the Trangia in shelter here. You know, it's just every lifestyle has its ups and downs, including this one. So sometimes people say like, oh, you're living my dream. And I get that, and that's cool. But, you know, even quote unquote dream lives have, you know, they have their ups and downs. So don't get too down on your own lifestyle, folks. There's no lifestyles which are pure and continual bliss. And some would say, and I think I would agree, that without the downs, the ups just don't even feel that great. So, what is for lunch?
Well, it's leftover stew, but I'm adding some more hamburger meat because there's not a lot of meat left in it, and then extra veggies and
Leftover stew.
yeah.
Oh, and we're almost out of butane.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be warm, hopefully.
Oh, I do hope it'll get warm. We are super grateful for the colors, even though a lot of other things haven't cooperated. One nice thing is when you're in Alaska, you get to go in stealth mode. Nobody knows where we're from. Nobody.